Welcome to the 5 at 5 after Arsenal get through the FA Cup third round game against Oxford with no slip-ups, and we move on to a clash against Man City in the next round. Let's get into my 5 at 5 from Arsenal 3, Oxford 0. Number 1, and I've got to start with the man that got the Man of the Match award in the Oxford-Arsenal game yesterday, and that's Eddie Nketiah. And I want to speak about him because, you know what? Whenever he's been spoken about, generally over the last year or beyond, it's been negatively. He's someone that a lot of Arsenal fans have lost patience with. And you know what? When Gabriel Jesus got injured, the reaction probably gave him a lot of motivation because, myself included, hardly anyone was saying that, you know what? Eddie's got this. He can do the business. But since Eddie Nketiah has been leading the line for Arsenal with Gabriel Jesus injured, starting from our Boxing Day fixture at West Ham, with Brighton away, Newcastle, and now Oxford. In those 4 games, he has been brilliant. Let's face it, he's been absolutely brilliant. 4 goals in 4 games, 2 of them, yes, against Oxford, but even against Newcastle, he pulled out a match-winning opportunity that Nick Pope did so well to save. And he could have also been the match winner in that game if it wasn't for that brilliant save by Nick Pope. And he scored against West Ham. He scored against Brighton. And it's not just the goals, it's his all-round play as well that have been absolutely brilliant. And let me ask you this. Let's say, for example, we signed Mudryk right at the start of the January transfer window, and he played 4 games for Arsenal whilst Gabriel Jesus was injured and played like this. How much would you be raving about him? So I almost think, even though people have said, yes, Nketiah has done well, he's still probably not getting the credit he deserves. And I think what we're seeing now is Eddie Nketiah playing with freedom, with confidence that, you know what, I'm going to start the next game and I'm not being watched like a hawk, and any mistake is going to be punished with me going back onto the bench. And I think that freedom has allowed him to express himself and play his natural game. He looks comfortable, confident, looks like he's going to take his chances. He's doing brilliantly well. Now, I want to ask you a question here. Get it in the comments. Has Nketiah changed your mind about his future with Arsenal? Were you one of those people that thought, actually, do you know what, he's not good enough? And has he changed your mind? Let me know in the comments below. Now, number 2, I'm going to talk about not a player that we've got who's like a new signing. I'm going to be talking about actual new signings. So let's move on to Mudryk and also João Felix. Starting with Mudryk. Now, it looks like this one's going to go right to the end of the window. With Chelsea sort of lurking around, Shakhtar are obviously going to try and raise the price as much as they can. It's pretty obvious that Mudryk wants the move. He's dropped enough hints that I've shown you in my 5 at 5s on his Instagram. It's obvious that he wants the move, but Shakhtar, and rightly so, are going to play hardball. They've got an £88 million valuation that is way above what Arsenal have offered. Apparently, Arsenal's opening bid was 55 million that they rejected. So it looks like we're quite far apart in our valuations, and it's going to go down to the wire. But ultimately, when a player wants to go, I'm sure Arsenal will get their man, especially with that lead at the top of the table and so much to play for. Seems like Arsenal have got to go big this January, and we're getting the right murmurs. But one player that we've been linked with, and it actually seems like we might not go big on and not get, is João Felix. Now, here's an interesting one, because a lot of people wanted João Felix, and it's obviously annoying to see another Premier League club in Chelsea giving the money that Atletico Madrid want. But you know what? João Felix is a very, very good player. He hasn't been the player necessarily that Atletico thought they were going to be getting when they spent over 100 million on him. But his talent is undeniable. But I'm actually not sure that he's the sort of player that can come in January and hit the ground running in a league as physical as a Premier League. Also, Arsenal desperately need a striker. If Nketiah gets injured, we're pretty much screwed. And we've got Emil Smith-Rowe coming back. Reece Nelson has even hit a bit of form. We don't necessarily need someone that can play across the midfield. We need a striker. Now, João Felix, do I think that he is going to be able to come into the Premier League, never having any experience in this league before, and play as a lone striker? I think that's a real tough ask. So perhaps we've dodged a bullet, and Mudryk, if we get him over the line, might be the better option. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think we've missed out big time on João Felix? Or do you think we might have dodged a bit of a flop in waiting with João Felix? I think he's a brilliant player, just not sure he gives Arsenal exactly what we need, and he's the right profile to chuck into the business end of the season. But time will tell. Number 3, the next round of the FA Cup, it doesn't get much tougher than Man City away. But listen, we are top of the league. We're having a brilliant season. There's no reason why we shouldn't be confident that we can go and achieve something and get a result there. What's interesting, though, is that when you look at the league fixtures around the FA Cup fourth round, which is going to be played at the end of January, Arsenal have got Man United at home before that game against Man City in the FA Cup and Everton away afterwards. When you look at Man City, they've got Wolves at home and Tottenham away. So we've both got one difficult fixture either side of that game, and then Wolves at home for Man City, Everton away for Arsenal. That's not really the one that I think the manager will be losing sleep over. But with Man United to be played and Tottenham for Man City, they're the games actually that might make the managers think, what lineup should I play? So I want to ask you, you be the manager. If you were taking charge of the game away at Man City in the FA Cup fourth round, just having played Man United, and you've got Everton away next, are you going to play your full strength team, or are you going to sort of replicate what Arteta did against Oxford? Obviously not to the same degree because of the opposition, but not necessarily play your absolute full strength team. I personally think any defeat against Man City gives them a bit more hope that they're going to catch us in the league. And I want to assert some authority as the best team in the country and able to mix it with Man City and take a result against them, especially at their ground. So for me, I would go absolutely full strength. Let me know what you would do in the comments below. Number 4, and this is an interesting one. It's a conversation that always comes up every single season in the FA Cup when a big team doesn't manage to win and they draw a game early in the FA Cup. And then they've got stuck with the replay. So that team this year is Liverpool, who weren't able to get past Wolves. Jurgen Klopp is furious, doesn't want to replay. Well, you should have won. That's what people will say. But what do you think? Do you want to see replays still in the FA Cup at this early stage of the competition, or at any stage of the competition? Or do you think every single FA Cup tie should have a winner decided on the day? Now, for a lot of people that maybe don't understand the financial element of replays and why they're so attractive to some clubs, if a smaller team can draw a Premier League team in the FA Cup and manage to pull off a result that forces a replay, they get 2 money-spinning ties that can secure their club for 1 year at least and beyond, depending on obviously on budgets and that sort of thing, but it can be really lucrative. So if you were to ask smaller teams or teams in the lower divisions in England, do you want replays to remain in the FA Cup? They would say absolutely. The FA Cup can be like the lifeblood to a team and actually turn around their financial fortunes. If you go and ask the bigger clubs, they'll turn around and say, no, don't want it. It's a massive distraction. So for me personally, even though, listen, clearly I support Arsenal, a big club in this country that doesn't really want replays, because of my love for the game and my love for the history of the FA Cup, I'm actually in favour of replays. If big teams don't want replays, put your best team out and get the job done. And if you don't, well, tough luck. You know, it helps the smaller teams, it helps the lower league teams who don't get enough money from the upper part of that footballing pyramid, and they struggle. It's not nice to see clubs go out of business, and the FA Cup, and especially replays, are something that, you know, with luck of the draw, you can hopefully get on your side and helps you prevent ever falling out of, you know, business and that sort of thing. So listen, I'm all for it. I love a replay. I love a romance of the cup. But let me know your decision in the comments below. Number 5, Bukayo Saka injury update. If you don't already know, he went off injured against Oxford, and every single Arsenal fan was just sitting there with their head in their hands, because if there's one player we cannot afford to lose right now, it's Bukayo Saka. He's becoming Arsenal's Mr. Consistent, and with the North London derby on the weekend, we absolutely need him. Thankfully, breathe a sigh of relief, because Mikel Arteta has said that he should be fit for the game against Tottenham at White Hart Lane. Massive relief, and good to see Emile Smith-Rowe back as well. But clearly, we need Saka to be fit, because Smith-Rowe, a little bit rusty, he's not ready to go into a game with the magnitude of Tottenham away. Massive game for Arsenal, and it'll be a real blow if for the 2nd consecutive Premier League game we drop points. We need to go there, we need to get the win. And we don't have a good record at Tottenham away. We have not won there in the last 8 seasons. That's crazy. The last time we won was in 2014 when Thomas Rosicky scored an unbelievable goal and Arsenal won 1-0. We need another magic moment like that. And when you're looking at who can produce that, Bukayo Saka is obviously always going to be top of that list. Fingers crossed we get a result and we get 3 points against Tottenham. That would be a lovely way to knock them off their momentum because they've actually regained a little bit of form. Harry Kane is looking dangerous again. It's on Arsenal. If you want to win the league, these are the games you've got to go and make sure you assert your authority and make sure you go and get the 3 points. Fingers crossed, Arsenal do the business. Give me your predictions in the comments below, and I'll catch you after the big North London derby. Thank you very much for watching as usual. I'll see you after the North London derby. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and make sure you like this video. I'm out. Take care.